Welcome back to Bassett. Once again, we're going to be reviewing Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoulger, and since I didn't get my episode 2 and 3 reviews out as quickly as I wanted to, it looks like I'm actually going to pair them together so I can get them done a little bit faster and so I don't fall behind again. And then I'll do an episode 4 review tomorrow or the day after that, and then I'll be all caught up for when episode 5 drops, and then from there we can just go week to week. Like I stated in my review, episode 1 was pretty good. Now, it didn't blow me away or anything. This isn't the best Sentai or Toku show I've ever seen, or at least that's not the impression that I got from the first episode, but it was good enough, and I think that if they continue this level of quality throughout the show, or even get a little bit better, it could turn out to be a really great series, and, you know, I'm happy to return back and say they did that with episode 2 and 3. Episode 2 is just building off of episode 1. The Rangers, and yes, I'm going to use Power Ranger terminology here, the Rangers really don't know exactly what they're doing. They're just going out, and whenever there's trouble, they're going to decide, hey, we're going to help, we're going to fight the monsters. But they don't really have much of a base of operations. Well, now they kind of do. The Rangers decide to stay at Ui in her father's home. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is fine. I mean, it's not that much of a glamorous base or anything, but I don't really know what you expect for a season themed around dinosaurs. I mean, when we're dealing with big operations and, let's say, organizations for like Go Busters and stuff like that, of course you're gonna have a really cool base of operations, but for something random like this, I don't really know what they would do. Like I said, I don't really watch Super Sentai all that much, although I do kind of like how Dino Charge and Power Rangers used a dinosaur museum for their previous dinosaur season. But this is fine as well because Ui's father is actually a paleontologist, so he can work some really cool stuff in there with that as well. Like I mentioned, not too much happened in episode 2. It was building off of the first episode. The episode really revolved around this civilian who left his family, said he was going to become the best fencer in all of Japan, and then returned to his family. And I really don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe that's a whole Japanese culture thing, but he really wanted honor or whatever. I really don't get it. I found it kind of stupid. But anyways, he was kind of depressed with that whole situation, and he felt resentment towards better fencers because he knew that if he was better than them or they didn't exist, then he could return to his family. The Durudons used his negative energy to turn him into a Minosaur and attack the city, which was pretty interesting, and I really enjoyed the fighting and the combat in this episode. We also got some really cool mecha battles, or Zord battles, whatever you want to call it, and I really like how they're actually really playing in the personal experiences of the person that the Minosaur was created out of. Like, the character or the Minosaur, the monster, attacked a fencing competition because that Minosaur, its entire hatred and its energy was fueled by the negative emotions of the human that it was possessing. I found that pretty cool, just a couple of touches here and there, and I really like how the enemy or the monster system is working in this series. They expand this idea even more in episode 3, which I will get into later, but like I said, not too much happened in this episode. It was kind of your standard Sentai or Toku episode. There was a lot of action, you sort of had your side story. I kind of wish they would focus more on green and black in this episode, although we got that in the next episode, but I feel like this episode was in a weird situation because I feel like you would want to get more story into this episode because it's right after the premiere. This is when you would want to work in that green and black stuff, but they saved that for episode 3, which I found kind of weird because they were kind of going into that week-to-week thing before they should be doing it, and then they went back to focusing on the story and characters afterwards. I don't know, found it kind of weird, but still, very good episode. Like I previously mentioned, episode 3 is when things really start to pick up. We, started off and Blue and Pink are starting to form bonds between them and their mechas, which Red actually had a pretty cool, interesting relationship with his mecha in previous episodes, which I really didn't get into because it was such a small detail, but I do really like that because it seemed kind of sentient or had a personality. I like it when mechas or Zords are like that in Power Rangers, Sentai, whatever you want to say. But anyways, we finally get into the monster of the week, and this monster can turn people to stone when they look into their eyes. I think we've had something like this before, but of course, monsters are bound to sort of repeat eventually in terms of power or what they do. And Ko, the Red Ranger, is actually turned into stone, and that's kind of when Green and Black show up. They show up and they completely demolish this monster. They don't destroy the monster, at least not yet, but they did a lot more damage than red, blue, and pink did. And they were kind of saying how you guys are weak. You couldn't take on this monster. We almost destroyed it single-handedly, while you three couldn't do anything, and red got turned into stone. So right off their bat, there's some friction there, and it's still not known in this episode where green or black came from, what they were doing, where they are. They didn't really explain it in this episode, but at the end of episode 2, they set up we actually turning into a Venusaur, being infected like that. The effects of that start to take place in this episode. They went back to the base, or where they're staying. You know, Red got turned back into his normal self, and they realize that we actually has been infected. It's then that they have this dilemma. What do they do with her? Do they kill her? That's what Green and Black wanted to do, because she could not turn into a Venusaur, or else a lot of people would die. Red, blue, and pink don't want that to happen. She's their friend, and they decide that they're going to try and save everyone. They're going to let we turn into a Venusaur, but they're going to save her and save everybody else. Black and green are not happy about that. We actually, overhears this conversation. She pretends to be asleep, and that's when we really deal with some very interesting things in this episode, some dark things, because she eventually tries to commit suicide so that she doesn't turn into a Venusaur and kill innocent people. Pink actually follows her and convinces her not to. This is a very emotional moment in the episode, one that I did enjoy, and this is something you wouldn't see in Power Rangers. After that, a big battle takes place. The Rangers, of course, win in the end, and all is good. Although there's still a lot of friction between the main team, red, blue, and pink, and the secondary team, which is black and green. They just can't seem to see eye to eye on certain situations or really get along. Also, green and black said that they have not found their mechas yet, and we got a little tease of that at the end of episode 3. Overall, episode 2 and 3 were very good. This season so far, at least with the first 3 episodes, hasn't blown me away, but also hasn't disappointed me. I've had a good time with each and every episode, hasn't kept me on the edge of my seat, but I'm still very interested in what is going to happen next. And I've noticed they're kind of taking their time with the opening. We're still getting to know the characters, and they just introduced Green and Black officially in this episode, and that's probably because they didn't get around to it in episode 2 like I said they probably should have, so it felt like a more of a 3-part opener, which is really cool, something you don't see too much, and we're still getting to know the characters. We still haven't had Green and Black's Zords or Mechas out yet, so we still have a lot to get to. At the time of recording this video, episode 4 and 5 are out, so I'm going to be reviewing those next in another pair, and then hopefully I can go week to week after that, so I don't miss any more, and I'm really interested in watching this show as well, but I had other videos and stuff to get around to, so I wasn't able to review them week to week, but hopefully I can catch up, and we're going to start doing that. I also got some people in the comments asking me how I was able to watch the show, because I don't live in Japan, I live here in the United States, so I do have to watch a third-party website. I use KissAsian, that's just one word. Now, that website is kind of sketchy, and there's a bunch of pop-up ads and stuff, but it gets the job done, and I can watch the show. I don't know how legal the website is or anything, I just know that it works, so I won't leave a link in the description below, but I definitely recommend that if you haven't any idea how to watch the show and you really want to. I use that website. But anyways, if anything, if I have to give these episodes a rating, both 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. I really don't know. It's good enough, I just wasn't blown away. But that's my thoughts on the episodes. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of these episodes. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Like I said, let me know, and I'll catch you all in next video. Peace.